There is one thing, just one, that when done correctly changes everything. It is not your looks. It is not your money. It is not your charm, your lines, or your game. It is something much deeper and much more serious. Because when this is handled the right way, a woman does not simply pick you. She feels connected to you. She feels pulled back to you, even when her logic tells her to walk away. And when it is handled the wrong way, you do not create attraction. You create emotional confusion, unhealthy attachment, and situations that slowly spin out of control. So here is the truth you need to sit with. Some men barely try, yet women keep returning to them. Other men do everything right and still get replaced. The answer is not comforting, but it changes everything you think you know about attraction. Attraction is not logical, it is psychological. And once you understand how it works, you stop guessing, you stop chasing. Before we go deeper, take a moment to support this message. If you are here to understand women beyond surface advice and fantasy thinking, you are in the right place. Now let's talk about what women truly respond to, and why most men never see it coming. Most men believe attraction is built on being wanted. They think that if a woman wants their attention, their time, their effort, then they must be doing something right. At first, that feels good. Want feels like progress. Want feels like approval. But want is weak. A woman can want many things at once. She can want affection. She can want stability. She can want excitement. She can want to feel desired. None of those wants bind her. None of them anchor her. Want is optional, and anything optional can be replaced the moment something slightly better appears. Need is different. Need is not a preference. It is not a conscious choice. Need operates below logic, below standards, below promises. When something becomes tied to a woman's emotional balance, when it becomes part of how she regulates how she feels, she does not simply choose it, she circles around it. Think about how easily wants change. She wants one lifestyle until another feels more attractive. She wants one man until another man offers a stronger version of the same feeling. Want has a short memory. Want is loyal only to convenience. But need does not behave that way. Need is rooted in emotional survival. It is what the nervous system reaches for when it wants comfort, grounding, stimulation, or reassurance. When a woman needs something, removing it creates discomfort, anxiety, a sense of emptiness she cannot ignore, and the mind will do almost anything to remove that discomfort. This is where most men lose direction. They work non-stop to be wanted, more attentive, more available, more pleasing, without realizing that every time they make themselves too easy to access, they reinforce one dangerous message: I am replaceable. Because when you give her everything without resistance, without tension, without emotional cost, you teach her that your presence is not essential. It is optional. And optional things are always the first to disappear. When attraction moves from want to need, the entire dynamic shifts. She no longer evaluates you the same way. She no longer compares you logically. She no longer asks if you are the best option. She starts noticing how she feels without you, and she does not like that feeling. This difference rewires attraction at its core. Women replace what they want. They chase what they need. Until you truly understand that, you will keep confusing effort with leverage and attention with power. Men tell themselves a comforting story. She misses me because I treated her well, because I listened, because I showed up, because I was better than the last guy. That story feels noble. It also keeps you weak. Women do not attach to people. They attach to emotional states, psychological experiences, the way their body settles or lights up around a certain man. When a woman says she misses you, she is not replaying your effort. She is reacting to the loss of a feeling she no longer has access to. Calm, excitement, relief, tension, validation. Whatever state you activated in her nervous system. That is why two men can act in completely opposite ways and still create obsession or indifference. One man can be consistent, caring, emotionally open, and still be easy to forget. Another can be imperfect, inconsistent, even distant, and remain impossible to replace. The difference is not character, it is emotional dependency. Dependency forms when your presence regulates how she feels, when being with you quiets something inside her or wakes up something she cannot create on her own. At that point, your absence does not just bring sadness, it creates imbalance, and imbalance demands correction. This is where logic stops working. She may know you are not perfect. She may even know the connection is not ideal, but knowledge does not overpower dependency. The body pulls harder than the mind, and the body always searches for what restores balance. This explains why women leave men they should want and chase men they cannot explain. This explains why doing everything right does not guarantee loyalty. This explains why trying harder often pushes her away. Here is the line most men need to hear clearly. She does not miss you. She misses how she feels when she is with you. Once you accept that, attraction stops being mysterious. It becomes precise, not manipulative, precise. You stop performing for approval and start understanding leverage. Because the moment you become the source of an emotional experience she cannot easily replace, comparison fades, competition disappears, and chasing begins quietly, inside her, often before she even realizes it. Every woman carries an emotional gap, not because she is broken, not because she is weak, but because modern life slowly creates shortages where they hurt the most. Pressure to perform, pressure to stay composed, pressure to be attractive, independent, agreeable, ambitious, often all at once. Over time, something gets ignored, something goes unmet, and that absence becomes a void. An emotional void does not announce itself. It works silently, shaping preferences, reactions, and attraction patterns. Once you learn to see it, you start understanding women in a way most men never do. This void is not about what she says she wants. It is about what her nervous system is craving. There are four main emotional voids that drive attraction, not dozens, not endless variations. 4. Validation, excitement, escape, challenge. These are not personality traits. They are emotional shortages, gaps created by routine, expectations, pressure, boredom, and too many men who all feel the same. When one of these goes unfilled long enough, it starts pulling. That pull becomes attraction. When a man unknowingly fills one of these gaps, he does not feel special. He feels confusing, hard to explain, difficult to replace. She may not even call it attraction at first, just a sense that being around him feels different, necessary, calming, or energizing in a way she cannot create on her own. This is where power enters the picture. Because when you become the source that fills an emotional gap, you stop being judged like other men. She does not compare you to options. She compares you to the discomfort of losing access to that emotional relief. But this power is not neutral. Filling an emotional gap creates dependence. Dependence creates attachment. And attachment, when handled without awareness, quietly turns into obsession. That line is thin. Most men do not realize they crossed it until they are stuck in a dynamic they cannot control. Understanding the gap explains attraction. It also explains why things can turn unhealthy when handled without clarity. Now that you see the pattern, everything changes. Validation is the most misunderstood force in attraction. Most men think more validation means more desire, more compliments, more reassurance, more praise. At first it works, then something changes. Because constant validation does not create attachment, it creates comfort, and predictable comfort becomes invisible. The nervous system stops reacting to what it can always expect. What is always available loses value. Validation only becomes powerful when it is selective, when it is earned, when it is intentional. That is why controlled inconsistency hits harder than endless approval. Her mind fills the silence. Anticipation grows. She adjusts her behavior without realizing it to get that feeling back, not to impress you, but because her nervous system wants the reward again. Excitement works the same way. Most women are not bored because life is empty. They are bored because their emotional world is flat, routine, predictability, the same talks, the same results. Excitement is not chaos, it is contrast. A man who brings emotional highs and lows cuts through that flatness instantly. He creates curiosity where there was comfort, tension where there was none. Uncertainty activates attention, mystery activates imagination, and imagination works harder than effort ever could. Women do not get addicted to men. They get addicted to emotional experiences. Validation makes her feel seen. Excitement makes her feel alive. When you become the source of both, without overdoing either, you stop being just another option. Escape is quiet but powerful. Most women are always managing something. Expectations, responsibilities, appearances. Very few spaces allow her to fully relax. When a man becomes a place where she does not have to perform, something shifts. Her body softens. Her thoughts slow down. That relief becomes physical. And once her nervous system links you to that feeling, it starts craving it. Challenge is often misunderstood. It is not arrogance, it is resistance. Most men are easy to read, easy to access, easy to win. Ease kills desire. People value what requires effort, not pain, meaning. A man with boundaries, standards, and direction becomes a natural challenge, not by acting cold, by being grounded. Escape makes her feel safe. Challenge makes her feel stimulated. Together they create a loop, comfort mixed with pursuit, relief mixed with tension. And once that loop forms, attraction pulls her in on its own. Most men make the same mistake next. They try to be everything, more validating, more exciting, more comforting, more distant. They weaken everything. You do not need to fill every gap. You only need to recognize the one she already carries. You learn it through what she complains about. Complaints reveal shortages. Bored means she needs stimulation. Overwhelmed means she needs relief. Looking for reassurance means she needs validation. Unmoved by attention means she needs challenge. You do not force it. You step into the role that fits. When you do that, attraction feels natural, not manufactured. Then there is a line most men never notice until it is behind them. Desire quietly turns into dependence. When you become the source of emotional regulation, you hold real psychological influence. In the hands of an insecure man, that becomes manipulation. In the hands of a grounded man, it becomes responsibility. Strength is not how deeply you can hook someone. Strength is knowing you do not need to. Mastery is not measured by how many people chase you. It is measured by how responsibly you handle the pull you create. Attraction was never about doing more. It was always about positioning yourself in a woman's emotional world in a way that cannot be easily replaced. When you stop trying to impress and start understanding emotional dynamics, you stop chasing outcomes. You start creating gravity. The one thing that changes everything is this. Become the source of an emotional experience she cannot easily create on her own. Not through force, not through performance, through presence, restraint, psychological clarity. When you understand want versus need, you stop confusing effort with value. When you understand emotional dependency, you stop taking rejection personally. When you recognize emotional gaps, you stop guessing. You start seeing patterns. This puts you back in control. Not control over her, control over yourself, your boundaries, your availability, your standards. That is what makes attraction last. A man who does not beg is not ignored. A man who does not chase is not invisible. A man who understands his leverage does not need to prove anything. If this shifted your thinking even slightly, support the message and share it with someone who is still trying harder instead of thinking deeper. And remember this: the moment you stop asking how to make her want you and start understanding why she feels different when you are gone, you are no longer playing the same game.